Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How are you doing? It's Big P here, the voice of hardcore boxing. 7 o'clock, Christmas Day. Grafting away. It's the grind. It's the grind. It's the fight. It's the fight. As Anthony Joshua says, aka Big Meech. Right, it's the Porkys Corner end of year awards. Right. Now, I've stumbled across a young man from Ireland who's called Kent. What about seeing Northern Ireland? You're from Belfast, Kent.
Yeah, Belfast, that's it.
That's right. Kent, he's been a pundit on Porky's Corner now for nearly a couple of years. So I thought, do you know what? Kent loves boxing. I'm going to do end of year Porky's Corner awards for 2022. Are you all right with that, Kent?
Yes, yes, Russell. That
Right.
sounds good.
Well, I'm going to say like whatever category it is, and then I'm going to say who I think wins it, and you can tell me who you think wins it. Is that all right?
Yep, that's it.
That's
That sounds good.
pretty simple, that really. So any other YouTubers who want to do anything similar to this, that's how simple it is. It's not rocket science. It's just like having a conversation. Right, Young Female of the Year 2022. I'm going to go for Caroline Dubois.
I'm gonna go with young female. Is that young female of the year, Russell?
Yeah, young female, Ken.
Yeah, I would go with that too. Caroline Dubois. She's had 5 fights this year. She looks formidable. She actually looks, Russell, now like she could win a world title right now. Right now.
You reckon, Ken? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the level she's at as an amateur and the level she fought at as an amateur compared to what she's fighting at now, she's actually took a backward step. So the sooner she gets a world title shot, and the sooner she goes up a class, the better you'll see of her. So I can't disagree with that, Russell, to be honest with you.
Okay. Female fighter of the year. I'm going to go for Natasha Jonas from Liverpool. Joe G's fighter.
I'm going to go with Natasha as well. You know, you look at a year ago, she had nothing really on. Matchroom didn't want to help her. Matchroom didn't want to get her fights. She was robbed against Terry Harper. Eddie didn't want to do a rematch because she would have beat Harper more convincingly. And since she's went to Sky, she's unified the division. She stepped up multiple weights and won world titles, and Natty couldn't even get her a rematch against Terry Harper. And the fact is, I actually think it's pretty poor that she wasn't actually nominated for BBC Sports Personality of the Year. I think she deserved better recognition for female sport, and she's actually come on in herself. You know, she's become a really good pundit on Sky, and she's a really, really good personality. She talks really well. She was a great amateur she was great for female boxing starting out, and look what she did at 2012. She had that great fight with Katie Taylor. I thought she was unlucky against Katie Taylor, maybe by a round. She's had a fantastic year. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. If you were going to go on a date with Natasha Jonas, Ken, where would you take her for something to eat?
Uh, well, I wouldn't take her for a cheeky Nando's, that's for sure.
Where would you take her, Ken?
Don't know. I don't know what type of food she likes, Russell. So it depends. It depends what type of food she likes.
Most restaurants will do you anything. I mean, if you go to a restaurant, Ken, no matter what, whatever they do, if you just don't like anything, everybody likes chicken or fish or tatey or something. You can always rustle you up something, can't they? So, I mean, where would you take her though if you wanted to impress her?
Well, I don't really know any places over. I tell you what, I see that Savoy Hotel in London looks pretty good. I see that program. I like actually watching that program about the hotel. So it would be somewhere up market like that there. Gordon Ramsay has the franchise to that, so it would probably be somewhere like that.
Well, let's Barclay Carter's having it, man, out looking for you want the Kent after.
Well, sure, you got to do it in style, don't you?
Right, so you're gonna go for Natasha as well then. Okay, so your female fighter 2022, Natasha Jonas, same as me, Kent, right? Third one, the male. I'm gonna go for young male Dennis McCann, 2022.
I'm between either Hopi Price or Dennis McCann. I like Dennis McCann. How Frank has built him over this last year. It has been really, really good. He's been built on, he's had a few trinket belts. Now he's Commonwealth champion. He's done really well. Hopi Price, obviously, he's domestic, champion, but he doesn't. It looks like he's actually going to go to either Sky or Frank Warren. I don't know what the deal is with Eddie. So I'm going to go with you. I'm going to agree with you again on Dennis McCann. He's a brilliant fighter.
Okay. Male fighter of the year 2022. I'm gonna go for Maxi Hughes.
I'm going to go with Russell Mark Heffron.
Mark Heffron, yeah.
Yeah, he's had a brilliant year. He's had a real standout year.
It would between them two for me, but I see where you're coming from. Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Mark Heffron. So I am.
Yeah, well, he's in the mix now, Mark Heffron, for some big dollars, isn't he?
Yeah, he's come through like he's had an up and down career, and he's been very inconsistent, and now he's back with Joe. He had that loss a couple of years ago to Liam Williams, which was disappointing for him. Liam Williams went on and obviously fought for a world title. It was for a domestic belt. Now he's come back and he had a brilliant fight against Denzel Bentley, who is another fighter. I would actually, for me, it would be in the mix. For me, it was either between Denzel Bentley or Mark Heffron. Denzel Bentley had a great year coming back from a Felix Cash loss. He's domestic champion. He fought for a world title, done really well. But for me, it's for Mark Heffron. He's won a British title. He's won a Commonwealth title this year, and he's won an international trinket. So I think the next step for him, logical step, is get him a world title shot, or get him a European title shot, or
European.
get him a fringe world title shot. I think that's the way to go next, and then a world title shot for my fighter of the year is Mark Heffron.
And do you think that Joe G will go full steam ahead with Mark Heffron and plough straight into an hard super middleweight title fight? Or do you think by the time, because he's got no miles on clock, Mark Heffron, has he?
Well, Joe was talking the other night that
he can come back as well, can't
he? He's a big puncher. Like Joe was looking the other night, and domestically he's done that. He's moved. He's won domestic. He's won Commonwealth. He's got an international class. I would like him to fight someone next, like a Fedor Chudinov, who's super middleweight.
Yeah.
Shane Mosley Jr. there, who is another fighter with a big profile. Not a big profile, but he's got a name.
Hey, they're fights, them, aren't they? But the winnable fights, aren't they, for him?
Absolutely. And why not? What about even somebody like a Daniel Jacobs as well? That's a fight there that I think he would win. It's Daniel Jacobs lost to Zach, John Ryder in a close fight. That there,
I
you
think
know,
I think you get old man than that against Daniel Jacobs, Kent. I think you get old man.
do you think so, Russell?
Yeah, yeah. I think Mark Efron's a bigger puncher than what his record suggests, and his record suggests he is a big puncher, but I think he's a KO artist.
Yeah,
I,
yeah. He's
I think from what I've heard, the sparring stories, and you hear little things and that. I've heard he's a massive puncher. Could he
yeah.
could he have done it at middleweight? Could he take 8 pound off? I'm not so sure. He's maybe better at super middleweight, but I
Oh,
remember, you know the story, don't you? A few years back, I'm like, Dennis, Mark Efron here, come on here, ring these here and sort it out. Yeah, I'll sort it. Week later, what did they say? Yeah, I've spoke to Asif. I goes, Asif, oh, Asif Valley. He went, and well, he says, no, he's not that big a ticket seller and he ain't that big a puncher and all that. And I was like, and that was that. And I was like, fucking shut your mouth, Russ, kind of thing. And I was like, oh, all right. Our raging. You know what I'm like. You know somebody like Dennis. I won't let anybody off at hook with anything like that. Anyway, now look.
he,
Oh, look stupid now. I don't look stupid. Are you even
he,
remember me going on about it on here?
yeah, yeah. I've heard you talk
Mark
about it
Efron had that.
numerous times.
He had that period in his career where inactive. That was the period. And I was like, well, here's Mark Efron here. I said, he were on a plate for him. All they had to do was pull a few quid up and sort it out. Unbelievable.
Even somebody like a Gabe Rosado would be a big fight for him. You know, Gabe Rosado's got 16 losses, but he's got a cult following. So somebody like a Gabe
Mark
Rosado,
Efron will put Gabe Rosado on planet Jupiter. Let me tell
yeah,
you.
yeah,
It wouldn't even be for a belt. It'd be, in fact, I don't even class him as a fighter him now, that Gabe Rosado. I class him as, he's like borderline YouTuber, isn't he?
yeah. He's a gatekeeper. He's more a gatekeeper now. Like he's lost his last three, so he has, and he's doing lots of commentary, and he's those last three. He's lost to Jamie Munguia, Shane Mosley Jr., and he's lost to that Kazi fighter. For a North American title. So I think that's the type of fight that not that it's going to bring him on a level, because I think Mark Heffron steams through Rosado, Chudinov, and Mosley, but I think they're fighters in America with name brand value that makes them look exciting and will ultimately get him a big fight.
Do you know what disappoints me about Mark Efron's rise? I mean, I don't want to arc back to this, and I always say this, but obviously I followed Carl Froch, didn't I, from him turning pro, but when I look at when Carl Froch won British and Commonwealth, there were loads of hype behind him, right? Mark Efron's just won it. I don't see the same hype, and I'm going back 18 years when Carl did that. You know what I mean? So, what, 17, 18 years? So, I don't understand it. He comes across half all right, Mark Efron. He can whack. I don't understand it. British and Commonwealth champion from UK. Where's the PR for Mark Efron? I don't
I
get it.
think
I
I
don't.
think it's all down to media and boxing
Ken,
people, Russell.
Ken, he does loads of he does loads of tickets. He's a family man. I don't get it, mate. I don't get it why somebody in bigging him up. I don't see him on IFL all the time. I don't see him on Seconds Out or in any Zooms. What's going on here? British and Commonwealth champion, world ranked, at the peak of his powers. This next 3 year for Mark Efron is going to be his peak. After that, it ain't Skid Row, but it's you don't slide. He's got 2 to 3 years now, Mark Efron, to get his dough in, hasn't he?
It's all down to now the boxing media and the boxing landscape. You look back when you were talking there about Carl, there was more boxing people and boxing lovers involved in boxing and in the media and people that actually love boxing. Now boxing media, a lot of the boxing media is more about opportunities to make money and create their own name through using boxing. But to come back to what you're saying there, he's kind of he reminds me a lot of Colm Johnson. He was the same, he was very private, very
Mark Efron.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And
he,
I don't think he got
you
the
don't
credit he deserved.
yeah, you don't see Callum Johnson and Mark Efron shouting the mouths off, do you? They just go back to business, don't they? And that's the type of people I like. I remember when I liked Santa Prox thinking, wow. And he was like his attitude, he didn't come across as an arse licker or a rimmer. He just said, look, you want to fight, let's get at it, train hard, because this is what you'll get. And Mark Efron's, I think, is from that kind of cloth, but I don't see any big PR around him. And I don't get it. I don't get it, Ken. I don't know if it's because he's with Joe G or because he's with Bricktop or what. If Eddie Hearn had Mark Efron, he'd be all over him, wouldn't he?
Yeah, but I think it's all down to the person as well. He could be one of those guys that he's more introverted, he's more quiet, he's more private. So it's all down to. I'm not going to say it's all down to the promoter. It's all down. There's a bit of everything there, and I think it's probably he's a quieter guy. He just wants to fight and use his fists, let his fists do the talking. But nowadays, it seems to be you have to sell yourself, through social media, make a name for yourself through, talking and on social media platforms, which
Yeah.
is disappointing because you just want the fighter to be able to do the talking with their fists.
Well, what we don't want is another Robert Reed job, do we? We don't want it to be, Mark Efron to like do something really good and then to peter out. We want him to have some longevity, for at least another 6 year. Because we're not. He's running out of years, Mark Efron, isn't he? He's got 6 years at the top if he stays at the top, or it could all be over in 2 or 3 years, couldn't it? And that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And not earning that good of money as if he stayed at the top. Do you agree?
Well, the good thing about him is that he's got Joe looking after him. Uh, Joe's not going to settle for anything less than what he's worth. Especially money wise. You've seen that recently with Natasha. You know, Eddie Hearn and Staffy had the begging bowl out looking for a rematch, but they didn't want to know Natasha after she got robbed against Harper, and they'd done nothing for her career. But now all of a sudden she's a champion. Oh, they wanted her back to rematch Harper on the zone. Like, who in the right mind would actually think that Joe and Natasha would be gullible enough to go and take that rematch? So he's got to bring a trainer with him, somebody that's actually a proper boxing person. There's not many proper boxing people actually left in the sport anymore in Joe. So he's got the right camp around him.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that. So I've got Max Hughes then, and you've got for male fighter at year. Who you got? Well, Mark Efron, yeah.
Mark
Promoter
Heffer.
promoter of the year. I've got Frank Warren, aka Bricktop. Who have you got, Ken?
I've got Frank Warren because you look at Frank a couple of years ago, we were thinking he's finished, he's done, who's he got there? Is BT even going to do? There's all sorts of talk about BT selling up, and now all of a sudden this year, he's had two stadium fights, a record attendance at Wembley for Tyson Fury. Yeah, the two cards were abysmal, but he's got the heavyweight champion of the world at the minute. He's got multiple other fighters in positions. He's brought young fighters through. He's built them. He, there's been more world title fights this year on BT than there has actually been Sky Boxer. I don't even think Sky Boxer have had a male world title fight on their platform since they took it over. And you look at the many world title fights Frank has had this year on BT, so you can't argue with Frank in that.
Okay. Manager of the year, I've got Neil Marsh. Who have you got, Ken?
Neil Marsh, manager of the year. I'm gonna go with Joe. So I am.
Joe G. Well, I've got Neil Marsh because obviously David Venetian. I think he's done really well with him. He got him into a position where he was fighting a top 5 pound for pound. Some people's top 1, some people's top 5, any of them top 5 positions. They got the guy in that position. If he'd have beat Crawford, where would David Venetian be now? And
He'll
obviously,
be on
Zach,
on the
Zach,
moon.
he has Zach Parker as well, one fight away from Canelo. So I've got Neil Marsh as my manager here. Who do you see? You got Joe G.
Joe G, and it's purely because of the Natasha Jonas thing. Out of principle, I agree with everything you said. They've got David Avanesian, not a very good English speaking fighter who doesn't really sell tickets in the UK, but he's had two top of the bills on BT platform, and he's fought probably one of the best, probably arguably the top fighter in the world at the minute. But for me, the principle has to be with the whole thing with Natasha Jonas. Look what she's done this year again. Joe doesn't only train fighters; he manages them as well. And I just think from being at the Zone last year and Sky with Matchroom and where she is now, she's got a good job on Sky as a pundit, and she's won three world titles. She's unified the division, and purely principle that all that nonsense of Sky offered her or sorry, the Zone offered her a massive purse, and that wasn't what it was, and that they refused to go back and go back to the Zone. I think that was brilliant, to be fair. And purely for that alone, out of pure principle, I'm going with Joe on that.
Okay, trainer year. I've gone for Jamie Moore.
Trainer of the year. That's tricky. Yeah, there's some good trainers out there. I like Eddie Lamb. I think he's a really good trainer. So I do. He's a brilliant trainer. I like Steve Broughton. He's another good trainer. He would help out the juggernaut Joe Joyce. Let me see. I've already said Joe. I don't want to say trainer of the year. I think I'm gonna change this, and I'm gonna say gym of the year. I'm not gonna say trainer of the year, because I think there's a lot of trainers out there that have backroom coaches and have people working alongside of them, and they need the credit as well. So I'm gonna go with Gallagher's gym.
Ken, you can't be losing your arse on Porkys Corner. Pick a trainer. If you want to pick Joe G, pick him. But pick a trainer. I've gone for Jamie Moore.
I'm gonna go with Joe again.
Right, you got to go with what you feel, Ken.
Yeah, well, look at it. Last week, you look at Paul Butler. He went the distance with a new A. They had to travel a 12-hour flight to get there. He won a world title this year against a really, really tricky fighter. Natasha Jonas has unified the division this year. You look at the gym coming. You've Mark Heffron. Look what he's done this year, and you look at the young fighters coming through in the gym as well. So for me, it's a no-brainer for me. It's gonna have to be Joe G.
Okay, right. Well, that's your opinion. Right. Hype jobs. I've gone for Conor Ben.
I'm gonna go. It's either between Jordan Gill for me or Connor Ben. I'm gonna change. I'm not gonna agree with you. I've already agreed with you a few times. I'm gonna go with Jordan Gill.
Yeah, okay then. Right. Biggest blagger. I've gone Tony Bellew.
Biggest blagger. This is, let me see, the biggest blagger. Tony Bellew. Let me see. You've caught me on the ropes here, Russell.
Have a think about it, Ken. Just shut your eyes. Just tilt your glasses on top of your head. Put your fingers top of your eyes, Ken, and tilt them. You know, it's 25 to 8 on a Christmas Day. So, okay, you just have a think. Biggest blagger in the sport of boxing. Try and keep it UK though.
Emily Bridges.
No, you rate Emily Bridges now.
No, no. Ebony Bridges, Emily Bridges. I don't know which is called. I don't care.
Bridges.
I'm gonna go with her.
All right. So, are you of the opinion of me? Is Mark Tibbs training in a brothel or is it a gym?
For me, she's the biggest blagger this year. I don't know what Matchroom and DAZN see in Australian boxing, obscure Australian boxing on world title cards and
All right.
in English. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't care about it. I don't want to see it. It's nah. It's
Okay.
she's my biggest blagger.
Well, hypothetically, Ken, if you were on a date and it were you and Evelyn Bridges, where would you take her on a date?
McDonald's.
McDonald's. Go on, Ken. Get up there, Ken.
Pound saver menu.
Hey, go on, Ken. Would you go Dutch?
Pound saver menu.
Go on, Kent. Biggest bull SHITTER. Well, I've gone for Big John Fury, big fighting man. You know that film Braveheart? You know him in Loft, that left. I'm him.
Oh, for me, it's John's just burnt out now. John. It's not. You don't have the shock value there with John anymore, Russell. I don't think I've heard it all. I've heard all the crap from John.
Well,
He has
so
to have. He has to have some sort of lineal crown in this. He has to be taken out of the equation because
go on then, Kent, because we're running out of time. Go on, who you going to pick?
Fisher's dad.
Oh, Johnny Fisher Senior.
Yeah,
Oh, the
yeah,
city
him.
man. The city man. I like him actually now. I actually like him now because they're only trying to sell tickets, aren't they? They're not going to put him near any danger. He's raw as a fish out of water. If somebody said to me, "Yeah, grill me a fish poke at your barbecue," well, if you give them him, it'd be like Johnny Fisher. It'd be like getting one out of the River Don, a trout.
I just does my head in. So he does.
You know what I mean? Okay, then. So you've gone for Johnny Fisher. Biggest bull
Hey,
SHITT.
do you know what? He actually seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, he likes Chinese food, doesn't he?
Yes, he likes. He can put Chinese food away, and the reason I've put him down for this was I would actually hate to go out on a Chinese food night with him and have to pay. It would be a nightmare. You'd end up skint.
You're a Dutch anyway, Kent, so don't you worry about that. Right, the mouthiest female. I've gone for Clarissa Shields.
No, I'm not going to go for Shields. I'm going to go with Bridges again. Can't stand her.
You don't like it.
Don't like her. No,
Has there been has done something to you, Kent, to upset you?
I just don't like her. She bores me. Don't
Well,
like her.
Kent, you can tell me, we wouldn't have any were you in Ebony fan club back in the day?
Definitely not. No, don't like her one bit.
Okay, no problem. Uh, the the winner.
The thing is with Carissa Shields, she can actually back it up. You know, if you can back it up, you know, you have a right to be mouthy, really, don't you?
Yeah, okay. Who can eat the biggest full English breakfast 2022? I've gone for Mo Pryor. Or you gonna go for it, Kent?
I think I'm gonna go with Mick.
Mick who?
Mick Hennessy.
You're gonna go for Mick Hennessy.
I go for our Mick.
Yeah, Mick Hennessy. He loves a good full English. I've actually been out with Mick, and he went for it with an evening meal, not an English. But Mick don't even drink alcohol. What's about
Mick's a brilliant guy. I like him. He's a proper boxing person.
that?
He
Yeah.
had a brilliant deal on it at Channel 5. He's had some great shows over the years. He's brought through some brilliant talent. Now he's brought them through on the Sky. You know, it's a good platform for them. He's a brilliant manager and promoter and boxing person. So Mick's a top guy. I really like Mick. He's a brilliant guy.
Bloke, good bloke. Yeah, he's a good bloke, Mick. I was gonna say to him, yeah, Mick, you get a gastric, but no, he's all right, Mick. He's right. Yeah, he's a good kid, son. Yeah, he's a good kid, Porky. Good kid. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dabbles his jab. Yeah, he's all right. He's all right. Good. He's good,
And
son.
his son comes across as a nice lad too, Russell.
Yeah, Mick Junior. Yeah, Michael.
Brilliant lad, really good, knows the business.
Yeah.
He's doing all right as a pro. Fair play to him. I like the Hennessy's. They're good boxing people. They're proper boxing people.
I went out for a meal in Bulgaria. Me, Dennis, Mick Hennessy, and Don Majeski. He was Don King's right hand man for years and years. He's an old time guy, like, and mate, we were there like swirling about after Mick were there with a glass of water. I said, "Do you want a tadpole with that, Mick?" You don't drink, old Mick. But okay,
No, fair play.
yeah. Biggest company man of the year. I've had to go for Johnny Nelson. For 2022, Johnny Nelson, Porkys Corner, Company Man of the Year. What do you think, Kent?
I'm gonna go with Frank Smith.
Frank Smith, Marshall Frank Smith, yeah,
Yep, the gopher,
to go for, yeah.
the bag carrier.
I can see that, but you know what? Johnny's only just won it, but in the last 3 or 4 days, I'm starting to be looking at Johnny Nelson, aka the Company Man, looking at some of his interviews, and Johnny's decided to cross over to the resistance. What's going on, Ken?
I think it's now because he doesn't have the talk a narrative. He doesn't have to toe that company line. He doesn't have a script. He hasn't been told to have a narrative. He's become his own man, so to speak, in his role now in Sky and Boxer. You look at the people they've brought in. They've brought in Natasha. They've brought in Big Fraser Clark. They've give Johnny a more of a free role to be himself. I think he's really come on to himself this last 6 months, especially with the whole Conor Benn scandal and that there. I think he's went up in my estimations. He's just being his own man now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. Okay, dokie. I think that's about it then for the Porky's Corner 2022 awards. Okie dokie. Can I just say a big shout out to Mark Tibbs' mum, Claudette. I hope she's all right. She's not very well. We're thinking about you, Claudette. Lovely woman. Okie dokie. Peace out, Kent.
All the best.